Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Hump Day, Wednesday, July 6, 2022. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Hey, Grid, welcome. Josh is number one, and Grid, sorry, today you're number two. Well, hey, I wasn't on for 2 days, so hey, Frankie, welcome, welcome. You're number three. And to anyone listening over on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, welcome. Hey, Petty Deb, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I think this is a good place to start. Okay, so today, I want to talk about a hangman's rope or a lawman's bullet. Would you turn your child in if they committed murder? Um, I actually had this conversation with somebody probably about a year ago. So, what would you do? You know, we love our kids. We don't want to see them come to harm. What would you do? So we have that the affluenza teen, from about 10 years ago that was driving drunk, minor, and he calls four people to change their lives forever. I think one person was killed and one person was paralyzed. I'm sorry, I think two people were killed. One person was paralyzed. And I can't remember what happened to the fourth person, but I know that all of it was pretty tragic. And his mom and dad hired an attorney, and the attorney said that because he was an affluent teen, he wasn't used to, knowing the rules and what have you. So he had affluenza, which at the time and even now it still sounds ridiculous. But when he was faced with jail time, his mother did everything she could to make sure he did not go to prison, uh, and went as far as changing his hair, and she accompanied him to Mexico, where they lived for a couple of months until they were caught and brought back. So, what would you do? Would you lie for your child? If you knew that this is what they did, would you lie for them? Would you turn them in? Would you, say, I don't want to have anything to do with you, but you don't turn them in? Do you encourage them to turn themselves in? What do you do? What would I do? I would encourage my son. I have one son. I would encourage my son to turn himself in. And hopefully, with the way I raised him, I would not have to worry about that anyway. But this is the same kind. Like I said, I had this conversation with someone about a year ago, and we were talking about it. Yes, I would, because welcome, Lou Rock, welcome. So Josh, do you think that that's wrong? I mean, I would rather for me, okay, I would rather my son turn himself in than for him to be apprehended by the police, and more than likely he would be shot dead anyway, or he be on the run for the rest of his life. That's no way to live, whether you stay, in the United States, or if you were to flee somewhere else. You're always looking over your shoulder, and if you meet someone, or, if you have a family, well, let's say if you're single and you meet someone, is this going to be a consistent secret that you keep, from your significant other? Then if you happen to get caught, then all of a sudden they're like, well, who the hell is this person? Or if you do have a family, do you, take them on the run with you? I mean, what do you do? So unless you turn yourself in and face, whatever happens, then what do you do? And we all know that with, all of our actions, there is a there is a consequence, and not to mention that you are also, and we were talking about this on another show, that you're changing the lives of someone else. You're changing the lives of another family. So, I mean, that's cold blooded. Okay, well then, Josh, what would you do? I mean, would you like to come up to chat? I mean, you want to come up on the panel? You're more than welcome. If not, I totally understand. So would you not turn your? I mean, what would you do? And welcome. Let's see who popped in. Welcome, Power Girl. So while I'm waiting for Josh to respond, welcome, Grid. Welcome.
Hey, Solid. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just been a bit busy the last couple of weeks.
Well, busy is good. So what do you think of this topic?
Yeah, good topic. I followed a case in the States a couple of months back, or I think it was almost a year ago, actually, the Gabby Petito case.
Yes.
Maybe you're aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just from following that case, and seeing the impact of what, Gabby Petito's family had gone through because of the laundries, the child. That's a good example of, what other families go through when your child, commits a crime. And, I definitely would also, encourage my child to turn themselves in. It's because, a situation like that can never end too good. It's always going to end badly. So rather turn themselves in, you did the crime, do the time, and you can get out and start your life over.
Okay. So what if you don't get out? What if you get life?
Well, I mean, that's a choice that that child made, that decision. That's, unfortunately, that's the law. You'd have to keep that relationship going with inside prison. It's tough to say, but unfortunately, that's reality.
So, do you believe a life for a life? Do you believe in the death penalty?
I don't believe in the death penalty as such, but it depends on what the crime was. But life in prison, I would choose over the death penalty.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, hold on for a second. Okay, and Josh, you're saying these are kids. Okay, so let's talk about that. So, what if it were kids under the age of 18? I'll even say under the age of 21. In the UK, you're considered an adult when you're 16. in the US, you're considered an adult when you're 18. What if your kid was 35? Would you would you, are they still kids? I mean, they're still your child, but you know, all I said was, would you turn your child in? So I didn't put an age on it. So we can put an okay, but when I said child, I meant, your child is still your child. If I'm 90 years old, my child, and my son is 70, he's still my child. So when I said child, I meant, like 16, 60. So welcome, Josh.
Oh no, Solid Blue, don't turn this around again, because if you
Okay,
look
so
at hold
this
on,
is
Solid Blue. Hold on,
okay.
Solid Blue. Hold
So
on,
we
hold
have
on,
Ziller here,
hold on,
and he's
hold
coming
on,
in as somebody else. So
hold,
we
hold
are
on,
just going
hold on,
to
hold on.
we are
You,
going to we you know what, you made yourself clear on my TikTok, what you did Friday. You made yourself very, very clear. So made yourself very, very clear. Okay, so um I'm going to keep going. Okay, so Petty Deb says, if you do wrong, you should pay the price, actions, and no consequences. I think that is absolutely right. So Grid, and I'm asking Grid because he's on the panel, but I'm asking everyone else too. Does the age matter?
No, Solid. I don't think so. I mean, your child is your child regardless of what age they are. If they're a minor and they do the crime, whatever the law states for that age, you've got to stand by it. That what kind of life can you live? With always looking over your shoulder and on the run. That's no life either.
So
That,
will it matter the age if we're talking about the death penalty? Does age matter?
um, well, I mean, if you're a minor, I don't know what the laws are, but I don't think they would put a minor to the death penalty. I don't think. But yeah, I mean, if that's the law, I can't change it. I'm sure. I'm sure to say that I probably would not try and hide my child and help them try and escape somewhere. That's we've there's just so many examples out there to show that eventually you're going to get caught. There's no way you can hide from the law. So yeah, unfortunately, if it's the death penalty in that state, that's you got to make your peace with it.
Okay. All right. At first, for a long time, I never believed in a life for a life, until we had a case here, here in California back in the early, well, not really it was, I was going to say it was in the 90s. It was actually, yeah, it was in the 90s, where a little girl was, taken, um, and she was molested, um, all within the span of 24 hours, and she was killed and dumped in Angeles Forest. And I never believed in the death penalty until that case. And you know one thing about the death penalty here in the US, Grid, does New Zealand, do they have a death penalty?
No, they don't. Not
does
that I'm aware of.
does South
No,
Africa have a death penalty?
no, they used to back in the day, but not anymore.
Okay, why did South Africa stop their death penalty?
I'm not sure why, but I can probably guess that there's so many cases where uh, there's been false convictions and stuff, and they find out much later down the line that the person's innocent. So
Okay.
if they got the death penalty and they found out later on, he was innocent, I'm not sure the reason behind it
Okay.
though.
Okay. Petty Debt says, I'm against the death penalty. However, the U.S. does not have a problem putting mentally challenged people to death. Putting someone to death costs a lot of money. Petty Debt, with the mentally challenged people, I'm on the fence with that. I do agree with what Grid just said, that you can have people who are convicted and should not be, and because they are innocent. But even with someone who's mentally ill, if they're in prison for the rest of their life, are they really getting punished? Meaning they may be off the street and out of society, so to speak, but do they really understand what they did wrong? I mean, because when you go to prison, to me, if you're guilty, you should only go, of course, if you're guilty. But one reason you go to prison is because you did something wrong, and you're going to spend the next 30 years thinking about what you did. And if you are on death row and it's your turn, then that when you're sitting in that chair or getting that shot, whatever, um you're getting it because you took another life. But when it comes to the mentally challenged, I'm on the fence with that one. So I'm going to flip it to what Deb just said. If you are mentally challenged and you killed someone, if your child was mentally challenged and you killed someone, would you turn them in?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Solid. If there's different different levels of mentally ill people, and some of them are aware of what they're doing and aware of what the consequences are, and some aren't. So it would depend, I would think, because it's going to be tough to try and explain to them, what they've done, uh, and why they've been punished. But yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not too sure.
Okay. All right. See, because to me, if you punish someone, I mean, even if you're punishing your child, because they did something wrong, the purpose of a punishment is so that when you punish them, they again recognize, what they've done wrong. So my question is, for a mentally challenged person, what got them to the point that they killed someone? Could have been where they were in the store and they were trying to buy something and the clerk was giving them a hard time and they got flustered and they beat someone to death. Or you're at home and something happens, and again something just goes off and they go and get that knife and they stab you, or they go get their mother or father's gun and they shoot. I mean, I don't know. Welcome the only crazy lady. You know, with mentally challenged people, I think I would still turn my child in, because in the end, Grit, like you said, it'll only end badly.
Yeah,
Especially with a lot of, in my opinion, law enforcement who don't know how to deal with the mentally challenged person. So,
yeah,
if they were to turn themselves in, then you have a better chance of that person being able to see a psychologist, whatever, and as opposed to a police officer who just doesn't doesn't understand and just think this person is, they're just not listening. So
yeah. I mean, most of the time, the cops don't know the personal, situation of that person. They're taking them as, this person that's killed someone, and they need to apprehend them, whichever way it goes. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I would probably turn turn them in as well, just for the fact that it's going to end badly regardless.
And Petty Deb says police don't care if they empty their guns into mentally challenged people, and that's another reason why you should, encourage them or even take them to turn themselves in. So, how do you think your family would respond? Do you think that it would be, and I'm saying mentally challenged, or your child, is quote unquote normal, but then again, what is normal now? Do you think it would be a cause of a rift within the family, that one side of the family, or certain people may say no, don't turn this person in, the other person is saying yes, and then if you don't, then you're causing a rift within the family. If you do, you're causing a rift within the family. But at the same time, this person that killed someone has already, they caused the rift within the family just because of what the family has to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I would say if it's my own child, and it would be my decision, and they can either take it or leave it.
Okay, now when I say within the family, I mean your wife, brothers, sisters, whatever, like your immediate family.
Okay. I would still do it. I mean, it would be a tough situation. If, like, let's say I was the one to turn my child in and my wife wasn't, it would probably cause a huge divide in the family. But to the other kids, trying to explain to them, the situation and the consequences of your brother or sister's actions. This is the right thing to do. It would probably cause a lot of divide in the family.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And Grit, I see you're number one over on Facebook. You always are. Thank you.
Yeah.
So is this something that would keep you up at night if you did or did not? Meaning, would you sleep easier knowing that you turned your child in, or would you sleep easier knowing that you didn't? But either way, you would still, be upset. But what would keep you up more?
But I mean, for me, both situations. I would definitely feel guilty turning my child in, but I would not sleep one bit knowing that you're hiding your child and you're on the run, and so it's either way, it's a tough one. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, back in the old West, and when I was trying to think of a title for this, because I watch a lot of Westerns. I love Westerns. And, back in the old West, when, they would go and, they would hang you, whatever. And, and the mother or the father or the wife, would be standing there crying, whatever. And then they take you to Boot Hill and they bury you, whatever. So, when you look at, knowing that your child, was this outlaw, killing people. Do you, again, even say to them, one day you're either going to, get hung, or the police are going to shoot you. And then when they do something where they do get caught, what do you tell your child? I mean, welcome, Mr. B. Do you walk away from them? I mean, can your child ever do something that you just walk away? If your child was a serial killer, if your child was someone who, stood on a roof and, shot a whole bunch of people, what would make you walk away from your child and say, I'm done?
Well, for me, I don't think I would ever walk away from my child, regardless of whatever they've done. I might feel more of a failure as a parent, for what they've done. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could ever walk away from my kids. Yeah, that's my answer. I would never, but I would feel, like I did something wrong in their life for them to have done something like that.
Okay, but what if this like we were talking last week, what if it was this child that from birth they were just causing problems? It was like the other kids, they were fine. They grew up and they're going to school, they're doing whatever, but this one kid just always got into trouble. And you told them, when you get older, if you don't, stop doing this, you're going to go to jail or worse, whatever. And then they do something, just really, really bad. I mean, even killing one person, yes, that's bad. But again, if they turn out to be this serial killer, whatever, while you're not turning your back on them, what about the rest of your family? How are they, um, how are they, uh, uh, coping? How do you help them cope? And
Well, I
Ziller,
mean,
I see you're back.
yeah, I would always be there, for my kids, for the problem child as well. I might not, I don't know, I might not support their actions and stuff, but I would, iterate with them and let them know that, what you're doing is wrong. If you don't want to stop on the path you're going on, you go ahead and do it. There's nothing I can do if they're an adult, but I'll always be there if you want to try and change your life, and if you need support and stuff. I would be there for that role, but obviously pay more attention to my kids, the other kids that are walking the right path. But
Okay.
if that child came to me like for help or or for support, I would be there. I wouldn't turn away.
So, what would you do if your welcome, Linda? So, what would you do if your other children are upset, meaning that they, because of what their brother or sister did, they're having a hard time? If they're younger, maybe they're being teased at in school. If they're older, maybe they're having a hard time on the job, or they get fired or something because, well, your you know brother was a serial killer. And I mean, what do you do? And when I say what do you do, what if they come to you and say, Dad, we need to just let so and so go because we need to change our name, we need to do something, we need to move or whatever, because he's causing our lives, we can't get this, we're losing our friends.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I would do whatever's necessary or whatever possible, to help my other kids, whether it's moving places, changing schools, or but and I mean, by doing that, I'd still be there for my other child, whether I'm living in a different town or state, whatever. Um, but yeah, definitely, I would do whatever's needed to do for my other kids, to live a normal life. Um, but yeah, I would, like I say, if that other child came to me saying, look, I know I've done wrong, I need to change my life, I would not turn them away. I
Okay.
would try and help them, put them in
Okay.
an institution or
Well,
whatever.
well, if
Yeah.
they committed murder, then they would be in jail anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So that,
okay, all right.
yeah.
And I know it's a hard question, but at the same time, it's like, your actions, things that you do, even on a daily basis, they may affect other people, and they may affect how people treat you. Um, so, you know, once again, your actions, the consequence of your actions. And to me, if you murder someone, or even if you just rob a bank or something, it's going to affect not just the person that you know that you're killing or you're robbing or whatever. It has that ripple effect where it's going to hurt other members of your family or even your friends.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you think that people who go away for murder and they have a family, and I'm going to say young kids, they have young children, do you think it's wrong for the spouse or the significant other to either want to get a divorce or to just not be in that person's life even though they have children?
I think it's wrong. No, it's it's a tough one. I suppose everyone has their own feelings, and that's if that's how they feel. Uh, I, I probably wouldn't walk away from my wife. If she had to turn our child in, I'd try and work through it and try and understand the situation. But if that's their choice, and they can't handle it and they want to walk away, then that's their choice, I suppose.
Okay. Well, what if that person is what if that person is going away for life, or even if it's not life, what if that person is going away for like 25 years? I mean, that's a long time. I mean, should that person stay married to you even though they have kids, or should they go on and find someone else, or try to even not necessarily find someone else, then you move on?
Um, yeah,
I
don't
just want to
know.
read what Mr. B said. If my children tell me I can't cook, they are dead to me. Oh, Mr. B. Oh boy. I mean, because again, there are so many variables. There's so many things that happen when someone does something wrong, because the ripple effect, and it just affects so many people.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of consequences, to their actions. It's not just their life. It's a whole bunch of people that they affect on both sides.
so again, I come back to, has anybody changed their mind? Um you know would you turn your child in? Because I still would. Change, what do you call it, turn my child in. I mean, and Grit, I keep asking you because you're the only one that is on the panel. But is there any reason why you would not turn your child in if they committed murder? And when I say child, again, I want to be clear, because some people aren't always clear and understand what I'm saying. Your child is your
Yeah,
child from if they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your child is still your child. If they're 72, they're still your child. So
yeah.
again, so
Solid. I would probably look at it a bit different. Like, let's say my son had a daughter, and some guy abducted them, raped them, and killed them. And then he took revenge on that person. Um, I would then look at it a lot differently. But I don't know if because but by taking that person's life, you breaking the law, and then you're on the run. So what kind of life is that? But I would definitely look at it differently that way. Um, but I probably would encourage them to turn themselves in, but I wouldn't make it easier for the cops, put it that way, to find his location, or to know his whereabouts, or to help them catch him. I probably wouldn't help them in that regard, but I would encourage him to think about it, the life that he's going to have to live.
What if what he did was what if what he did was just really, really bad? I mean, again, it's murder. He killed someone or she killed someone. So the reason, because I'm trying to form the question. I'm just trying to get back to what you said about you would not give the cops their location. But then they're hunted. Then his or her chances of survival to me is even less, because then they're being hunted. And cops, they shoot first.
So that's why, like, I would say, I would encourage him to probably turn himself in. But if the cops came to me, saying, "Where's your child? We need to find him," and I wouldn't be too helpful. But like in the situation with the Gabby Petito case, those parents knew what their child did and where he was and stuff, and they just kept quiet. That to me, if I was in that situation, I was the laundry family, father or mother, I would have most definitely helped the cops, apprehend my child, and because who knows, he might have been alive today instead of taking his own life. But I mean, if he murders a rapist, or someone that murdered my son's child, my grandchild, it's I probably wouldn't assist the cops in any way, but I would encourage my child to, that's not a life to live, and especially if you have other kids, what are you putting them through?
If the child kidnaps someone, let's change it from murder, and they kidnap someone, would you turn them in? And you knew that they did it?
If my child kidnaps someone else?
Yeah.
Yes, I probably would turn them in. Yeah.
So you're not turning in the murderer. I'm just trying to be clear. So you're not going to turn in the murderer, the child that kills someone. Is your reasoning because the person that they kill is already dead, and there's nothing that you can do, and then the law, they'll just have to find them, as opposed to someone being kidnapped and could possibly,
Well, like the murder one, like that would have been a perpetrator that murdered my son's daughter. In other words, so to me, I feel that person that got murdered probably deserved it. That's to murder an innocent child, rape them, kill them. In my eyes, he deserves a death penalty. But he got what he deserved. So I'm not going to help the cops find my son for getting justice, even though it's not the right way to do it. But in a case like when my child kidnaps someone, that's for what reason did he have to do that? So that's something he's done, that he can pay the price for, and go to jail. But in my eyes, I can justify him murdering someone for murdering his child. Probably not the right way to think of it, but that's how I probably would look at it, or what I would have done.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I know that, this is a tough question. But again, like I said, I had this conversation with someone about a year ago, this particular one, and then just over, last week when we were talking on the show, and even yesterday when Ba and I did a show on the family unit, it got me thinking again, just in terms of how you raise your kids and what would you do as a parent. If your child did something really, really bad, what would you do as a parent? Whether that child, and again, I keep saying the word child because no matter how old they are, they're still your child, whether they're 16, 17, 18, or they're 40. So, I don't know. You have, and you read about parents who, will, like I said, go through any lengths not for their child to get caught. They'll do whatever they can so their child won't get caught. But in the end, it just ends badly. And I just would not want my child to be in a situation where they're either being hunted, or even if you change your name and move somewhere else, you're still going to look over your shoulder for the rest of your life. Welcome,
Yeah, I mean,
welcome, feisty one. So,
the especially nowadays, the press and the public, when it becomes a public story, and people tend to take it quite personally, even though they don't know you. It can be pretty brutal out there. If they think you're hiding your child or assisting them, for them because they murdered someone. I would hate to live a life like it.
Okay, well then, Greg, then I come back to then, having said that, then why would you still not assist the law enforcement in finding your child and
if he murdered someone for raping and killing, his young, let's say 5-year-old or 7-year-old.
Okay.
I think the public would look at it differently, as opposed to my child murdering his girlfriend, and then, I'm trying to cover it up for him.
Okay. Okay. I missed that part. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask this question then. Now I'm going down a different road. Do you think, so for something like that, if you kill someone because, they rape your child, or they kill, one of your family members, is killing someone ever justified?
No, it's probably not, definitely not in the law's eyes, but I think it's like a crime passion, a heat of the moment. It's just rage that takes over, you as a parent. I probably, I would probably do the same. If someone did that to my daughter, I would murder that person and turn myself in, and then, my job's done, and I wouldn't put my family through it and try and run and, stay out of jail. That's just me.
Okay. All right. Again, it's a really hard, it's a hard thing to do, and you hope that you never get into the situation where your, child, or, even if it was your, husband, or, your brother, sister, whatever, that you get into, a situation where you would actually have to even consider turning them in. But my thing is that I would not want my child to be hunted, and I would not want them to be in a situation where they're constantly looking over their shoulder, because you're going to be looking over yours. Someone's always going to be watching you. Someone's always going to be watching you to see if, your child gets in contact with you. So your life is also going to change. So while you're helping your child, you're also, inviting things into your life that you may not want there. You may, like I said, people start watching you and start watching your children and start, just your whole life to me is just upended. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's um I think that's sad. So I don't know. I don't know. So let's see. Does anyone have any other comments? No, everyone, thank you for liking the show. I appreciate it. So I'm going to turn this and I'm going to flip it another way. If your child was thinking of committing a crime, not necessarily murder, but thinking about committing a crime, and you knew it from maybe they could have come out and just said it, or you read something that they were writing down, you saw something they posted on social media, but you knew that they were planning something. Would you turn them in?
Uh, I wouldn't turn them in. I'd probably confront them, pull them aside and say, hey, that's not worth it. This is what could happen. This is what your family could go through. I would go more along those lines. But
do you think pulling them
ultimately,
aside is, I mean, if they're planning to do something, do you think pulling them aside is going to stop them and giving them that talk? I mean, do you think that's going to stop them? And then if they go forward with it, because someone had suggested, I think it was Bob on another show, where he said that he thought that parents should be liable for their children's crimes. So, Bob, was that you who said that? I'm trying to remember who said it. Is Bob still here? So, but I think it was you who said that. So if you pull your child aside and they do that, then they find out that you knew. Don't you have some responsibility in what your child did if they went through with it?
um, I'm not sure. Depending on what they're planning on doing, yeah, shit. That's a tricky one. Like if they were planning on murdering someone, or let's say like a mass shooting, I would probably then notify somebody, um, because I'd hate to have known about that and then they went on and did it, like a mass shooting. That will then, for me, that'll be on my conscience. But if it was like, I don't know, if it was something like robbing a bank or or stealing a car or something like that, I probably wouldn't turn them in. I would like try and tell them, this what you're gonna do is gonna have consequences and stuff, mess your life up. But I think like quite a serious crime like mass shooting or murder or something, I would probably notify somebody, and just say, hey, this is what my child's posting or planning. Look into it, or because I mean they can't do anything to him if he's planning it, right? Or I don't know what the law would be regards to that.
Well, I mean, I
Maybe
don't
there's
think
some
they can do
professional
anything
help.
if they were planning. And Bob, my question was, were you the one who said last week that you thought that if a child commits a crime, then the parent should also be held responsible? That was my question. Um,
I don't think so. I don't think the parents should be held responsible. It's if that child's an adult or he's free to make his own choices, then he should be punished, not the parent, unless the parents were involved in it somehow.
Okay, boss says in some cases, yeah, because
Yeah,
because
yeah.
because I mean, if your child is an adult, but at the same time, though, I mean, Grit, they can't do anything if they're planning something. I mean, you can plan something and not go through with it, but they can come over and they can talk to you and they can watch you and make sure, that you're not, what is in your bag or whatever. But if like we had a shooting a couple of months ago, where the kid went to school and shot people and killed them, and the parents knew. The parents knew before he did it, and they knew that he had a gun, and the parents were. I don't not sure they were charged or if they were held. I do know that they were arrested, but I'm not sure how far it went. But they knew that what their son was possibly going to do. So no, they can't arrest you if you haven't done anything, but at the same time, they can eyeball you.
Yeah, I mean, in a case like that, like if you knew your child had some mental issues and you knew they had a gun, you should have done something then about it. There's always something you can do, but by keeping quiet and not doing anything, I think there should be some responsibility there on the parents as well. I would feel terrible if I was in that situation. I knew about it and my child shot a whole bunch of kids. Yeah, I would feel like hugely terrible about it.
Okay, and Alpha Mike said, "I definitely turn them in, do the crime, do the time." But what if you and this is something that we were talking about on the show that Bob and I did yesterday. What if you don't know that your child is doing this? What if everything seems, quote unquote, seems to be okay? You're talking to your child. Hey, how was school? Fine. How was work? How was football practice? How was cheerleading going? Whatever. And you're all sitting there talking and doing the normal stuff. But meanwhile, your child is like planning this. What do? Is it your fault then? I mean, can you rightfully blame the parents then? I mean, I do think in some cases you probably can, but you got a lot of quote unquote normal people walking around who end up doing not normal things.
Yeah, no, it's
Grit, no problem. I appreciate you being up here. Thank you very, very much. So I know you are busy working, so thank you for taking time out to spend time with me today.
No problem, Solid. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got to run, but great show. Thanks for having me up.
Okay.
I'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, Grit. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. And Alpha Mike says, I think that term temporarily insane is used too much. Wait, hold on. Let me read that. I think that term temporarily insane is used too much just to get out of it. Yeah. People. Yeah. Okay, let me ask this because I'm going to piggyback this off of what Alpha Mike said. Because Petty Deb brought up the fact of mentally challenged people, and should they be turned in? Like, what do you do if your child was mentally challenged and they committed murder? So now we have Alpha Mike saying temporarily insane. So is temporarily insanity Is that a disability? Could some people see that as a disability? You know, if you go to court and you say that my client was temporarily insane, do you consider that a disability? And how long is temporary? And Deb says, no, it is bullshit. Okay. No. Okay. That sounds like a cop out. Okay. All right. I mean, I think so too. But can people really, again, what does that trigger? You know, what if, you know, again, you're in a situation where your husband's beating you, or your mom or dad are consistently beating you, and you just turn around and that trigger and you know, take that knife or get that gun or that baseball bat and beat the shit out of them. Is that temporarily insanity, or did you just get fed up and you just decided to kill someone? So okay. All right. So I'm going to keep going unless there's somebody wants to come up here with me. See, Bob says, I think that would still be manslaughter, but the judge and jury would hopefully take the circumstances into consideration. Okay. But would you still consider those people to be temporarily insane? Lesser term. Okay. I mean, is there ever a reason? I mean, so Alpha Mike, I'm going to go to you since you brought up the term. Is there ever a reason to have someone who is who says that they were temporarily insane when they killed someone? I wouldn't say, okay, boss says, I wouldn't say that's insane, just sick and tired, and also some self-defense. You know, I like the self-defense better than temporarily insanity. But I think that self-defense would be harder to defend as opposed to someone saying that they're temporarily insane. So Romantico, you've been asking to come up on the panel, but you're not up here. So I don't know if you really want to come up or if it's an accident. So Feisty says, insanity is not an excuse for receiving punishment for a crime. It may not be jail, but an institution of some sort for the true crazies. Okay, Feisty one. So you weren't here when we were talking about mentally challenged people. So if your child, and again, I want to be clear with people who just got here, when I say child, I'm talking about they are your child no matter how old they are. Your child is mentally challenged. They murder someone. Would you, number one, turn them in? And because they were mentally challenged, should that be an out? Because in the end, they still kill someone, and that other family is grieving. They still kill someone. Okay, and Feisty says, yes, I would turn them in. Okay, all right. So do you think that, okay, you said insanity is not an excuse for not receiving punishment for a crime. Okay, so should the mentally challenged people automatically be sent to some sort of institution as opposed to going to prison? Because my whole thing is, if you kill someone or you do any crime, if you're being punished, you should know that you're being punished. You should have some level of understanding of what you did. Appropriate for the crime and level of nuttiness. Okay. In that case, can't people who, see, Bob says some lawyers will play the system to get their guy off. I was about to say, yeah, some lawyers will play the system to get their guy off, but at the same time, Feisty, you're saying the appropriate level of nuttiness. So can we all just go kill someone and feign that we're crazy, or okay, creating terms like temporary insanity sounds like that. I mean, well, and an attorney will do anything. I mean, if they're your client and and they know that you've killed someone, I mean, they'll do anything to either get you off, or if they know that you did it, then you'll go to jail for 20 years as opposed to 30. So I mean, that's their job. So especially when there's money on the line to win the case. Well, yeah, money always talks. Feisty says, nope, if you weren't crazy yesterday, then I don't believe it just happened today. Well, there are some people who, in my opinion, they use their disability, as an excuse, that they will do things and say things, using their disability as an excuse. But no, I totally get you. If you weren't crazy yesterday, then I don't think that it just happened today. But again, if you're the person at home being beaten, or you're going to that job every day and your boss is just is constantly on you, yelling, screaming, whatever, and you're just walking around just functioning, can it still be temporary insanity if you just snap? So you may not have appeared to be crazy yesterday, but all that was just building up. So my next question would be, do you guys believe that everyone has that trigger? Okay, Feisty says, nope, the crazy was always there. Okay, so Bob says yes. Okay, so everyone has that trigger. So can't that trigger cause temporary insanity? No, I think a better phrase is rage. Okay, but if you have that rage, what caused you to have that rage? I mean, do you think that you should either get off or have a lesser sentence because of your rage? I mean, yeah, temporary insanity does sound like bullshit, but at the same time, can't your rage also be bullshit? I mean, can't you go in and someone says, well, just because you were enraged, you shouldn't have killed that person, but they've been beating my ass for the last 10 years. So see, insanity is a strong word that to me sounds like something that needs to be diagnosed. Okay, but again, if we all have that trigger, is a trigger okay? You're saying rage, but is that trigger can still be where you just kind of lose it for that moment, and you go off. Okay, Feisty says there are lines that people won't typically cross, but will cross given the right set of circumstances. Okay, and Feisty agrees with Ba. Okay. Okay. So there are lines that people won't typically cross, but will cross given the right set of circumstances. So if you, okay, and Feisty says when you step across the line, the punishment should be appropriate. So if you're abusing me, I'm in a relationship where it is abuse. Maybe we have kids. You're abusing the kids too. But let's say we don't. Okay. Haven't they crossed the line? And if I've called constantly, I've called, the police have been out to my house so many times. It's like, okay, we're going out to Sal's house again, and there's records of it. And then I did, that line that I probably wouldn't cross, but that's perfect. That right sort of circumstances, that perfect storm was just right there. It was the perfect storm. And I crossed that line. And I killed my abuser. Should I go to jail? Bob says, being not in control of your body and actions, and there's nothing you could have done to stop it, maybe insanity, whereas temper, rage, anger, you can control. Control would be the key to this argument. I have to disagree a bit there. I agree with some of the things you're saying, but if someone is beating you, I would say that some people who do that are in control and some people aren't. Some people, they come home knowing that, I'm going to beat my wife. Or some women, they beat their husbands, but they know that they're going to do violence. So if one day I just snap and I'm sick and tired of it, and I pick up that knife because I'm tired of the abuse, I'm trying to do all I can. I did everything right. I notify people, whatever, but as we know here in the United States, you can call the police 20 times and, your abuser will still walk away. So am I losing control? I mean, is it control? I mean, don't I have a right to go there if I'm, if one day I just can't take it anymore? Okay, and you're saying that's hard to prove. There's a lot of things, that's hard to prove. This is why I think there needs to be medical records of insanity. Okay, did you leave? Okay, no, I didn't. You have some people who don't have the means to leave. I think that when people say, well, I don't have the money to leave, or they control the money or whatever, is that an excuse, to leave? I mean, I don't know. But people have that trigger. What if you have that boss, like we talked about last week, who is just an abusive boss, just mean and nasty. And one day that trigger happens and you just come to work with a gun, or even if you don't even mean to come to work with a gun, you just working one day and he does something and you just turn off and, pick up a staple gun or something. I don't know. And you just lose it. And your boss is dead. What do you do? I would rather be homeless or jobless than to take someone's life. Okay. Okay. What if children are involved? Now I'm going to throw the children in there. What if children are involved and the abuse is happening to the children? Okay. And you have some people who won't let you leave. You're trying to leave and, you're getting into this knockdown, drag out, and your face is all puffy, whatever. And, what have you, do you kill to, because you're trying to save your children? So I know this conversation took some twist and turn. So I'm just, trying to say again, would you turn your child in if they committed murder? And what would be that trigger for you to commit murder? And does everybody have that trigger? So, but guys, I am going to start wrapping this up. You guys made me work to today. When there's no one up on the panel, I have to, go by what people are saying in the chat. But I appreciate everyone's comments. This was interesting. This was interesting. I'm sorry, who? Okay. I read that one. So I would rather be homeless or jobless than to take someone's life. So on that note, guys, I will have a show tomorrow. Thank you. Ba and I are doing a show with a father and son podcaster on Saturday, Wolf and Bull. That's going to be at 12 noon Pacific on Saturday the 9th. So, but yeah, this was interesting. There are a couple other things that I would like to have gotten into, but I would have had it would have worked better if I had somebody up on the panel with me. But that's cool. But you guys enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you tomorrow. So go where the wind takes you. Bye. And thank you everyone for liking the show. And who was that? Frankie, thank you for the gift. I do appreciate it. And Grid, even though you're gone, thank you for popping up on the panel with me. Feisty One, I'm happy you popped in. Juju. Baram. Alpha Mike was here. Power Girl. Thank you very much. All right. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.